Hey everybody, I went digging deep in my pile of lathe wood and found this big beautiful piece of Imanot Sherwood. It has 1, 2, 3 branches coming off it. It should be pretty interesting grain, and because it sat there so long, as you can see, the center rotted out of this piece, this branch. So instead of putting epoxy in there, which I'm not a big, epoxy's cool, it's just not for me. I don't like the way it chips and cuts. So what I did is cut a big old cherry, round piece of cherry, and epoxied it and jammed it in there just as hard as I could with a hammer. So I'm gonna go trim this part off with the chainsaw, and this will be the, I think, the bottom of the bowl, and this will be the top, so we can see all this nice grain pattern. Turn you back on when I get it mounted. Okay, this is going to be a rough ride for a while, so I'll spare you the boring part. Turn you back on when I get a little shape to her. Okay, folks, I'm starting to get a decent shape to it. Everything looks like it's going to work out fine. I want to talk a minute about a little bit of lathe safety. I would love to get this thing on high speed, but it's too out of balance right now, which could make it jump right out of the lathe. Like if this little nib broke or whatever. If you're scared of the lathe, don't work on the lathe. Respect it. Don't be scared of it. On this end here, I flattened out a spot for my spur drive, but my spur drive is now bottomed out and my chuck is actually pressing against it. So I got tremendous pressure on my tailstock. That little point there is dug in probably at least a ½ inch deep. And you know what? It holds it on the lathe. I'll deal with this little dent later. It's worth it. On high speed, it's much smoother cutting. But if you screw up and turn your gouge the wrong way, the boo-boos are bigger on higher speed. So keep that in mind. Don't start going high speed until you get a feel for the tool and get a feel how the lathe and how the wood feels hitting your tool. I don't want to preach. If you want to be a madman and a rebel without a clue, go for it. It's your safety, not mine. But just be cautious. Don't be scared, because if you're scared, you'll get nervous and then you'll screw up. Just respect the lathe. Stand off to the side. Like when I'm roughing like this, I never stand in front of it, because if this pops out of the lathe, it will ride right up over this and whop me, and I don't want that big old chunk of wood to whop me. At low speed, chances are it would just kind of fall out, but at high speed, it's going flying. It could shoot right through that wall. So keep it on low speed. It's a little rougher cutting, a little rougher on your arms, but it's a lot safer. So if you want to be a daredevil, you go for it. I'll get a good chuckle out of it. If you put it on YouTube, it'd be awesome. So do what you wish. Respect it, don't fear it. If you're afraid, maybe it's not your thing. This turns out it's not Imanot wood, it's maple, and it's nicely spalted, close to almost too rotten, but so far it's held up pretty good. So let's get back at the turning. Ciao. That is much smoother. Yeah, maybe I should hit the record button before I start yakking. So anyhow, I got it to the basic shape I want. I got a tenon cut in here. I got a foot. I did a little scraping on it. It didn't come out too bad, but being spalted maple and being almost rotten, especially this spot, I'm going to have to sand it back to where I want it. So I'll turn you back on when I get ready for a coat of finish. I did a little experiment, and I actually left it on high speed, almost 700 RPMs, and with my 80 grit sanding belt from the belt sander, it actually did a really good job of getting the torn grain out of it. I have now slowed it down, and I'm going to use this to get the rest of it out, or as much as I can, I should say. But you have to be really careful. But the high-speed sanding with the big belt sander, so your hands are out of the way, worked really well. Back to sanding. Alright, let's get a coat of finish on here, and I'll probably use this for a sanding sealer. Looks pretty spectacular. See the wormhole? Still got the worm poop in it. Hopefully we'll see if that'll stay or not. I'm not sure on the height of this bowl yet. I was just looking at it. Oh, and by the way, I messed up. I did not put a cherry peg in this. It's actually red cedar, which is actually brighter. It looks pretty good. Yeah, I like it. A little bit of excess epoxy around it, but what are you going to do if something's rotten? Almost only so much you can do with it. But this thing sanded up pretty good. It may be quite a bit shorter when I get done with it. I really don't want to leave this rotten spot in it, but we'll see. Alright, that should be good enough for the final sand. I'll let this dry. It's time to go in and eat some fish and taters. Having fried cod tonight. Sounds kind of yummy. Haven't had it in a minute. Close enough for the first coat. Looking pretty sweet. See you in a few. So I got her flipped around. Everything come out good. Now I got to determine how or where I want my rim at, because I got a lot of stuff way down here. So I'm going to flatten this off and then see where we're at. A lot of bark and rotten stuff in the middle of that, but that's what makes them interesting. Time to get this center chunk out and continue on our way to the bottom. That plug's looking kind of cool if you can see it. Right there. I got it just about as good as it's going to get for rotten wood. I got all the ridges out, and it's pretty smooth to the touch. I have some punky wood in there that there's, you know, unless you fill it with glue and sawdust, there's not a whole lot you can do. But well, that's still tight. I thought that I would have to keep my eye on this spot because that bark goes all the way through. Anyhow, it's time for sanding, and it may take a lot on this one. I'll turn you back on when I'm ready for finish. Alright, I think we're just going to get a coat of sanding sealer in there. I got a lot of the spongy stuff taken care of. I was pretty surprised. We just get this coat in there and stabilize it overnight, or let it set overnight, and then we'll finish up sanding in the morning. I'm pooped. I think my little cedar plug looks pretty decent. Matter of fact, it's about the same color, or it looks like to me, as a red moon, which we just had. So I'm going to call this the Red Moon Bowl. I think it turned out pretty neat. I'd say that looks like the moon. What about you? Blood Red Moon Bowl. Kind of looks better from over here. I think that turned out kind of cool. It's better than throwing it on the firewood pile. I like it. We'll turn you back on tomorrow when I get this thing finished up. Alright, let's finish this thing up. I think that's close enough. Alright, let me get the nub off and sand it up, and I'll show you some pictures at the end. Stay tuned. Alright, there's another one. Fun and done. Turned out pretty decent. Got the bottom all sanded up, no finish yet. Beautiful spalted maple. And what do you think about my putting a different color wood plug into a rotten spot? You like that? Think I should do it more? I kind of like it. I was thinking about taking a big piece and drilling big holes all through it and putting different colored wood pegs through it. I think it's kind of neat. So I got some more work on the finish to do, but that comes to the hand sanding, and wow, that's nice right there. The hand sanding and getting real particular on the finish, and the temperature's too low in here right now. I have to take a day. I got several bowls that I could finish up at the same time. That way you're not creating dust and what have you. So please hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you're not, and we'll see you on the next one. Play nice.